Yes, it's black box export day. This is a, what the hell is it? A DX55HP. I don't actually think that I've ever worked on one of them. Worked on lots of the Galaxies, but I don't think I've ever had a 55 HP. They've got so many blasted models of these radios. They all use the same circuit board. It's just a matter of the more features, the more bands, the more modes, the more parts. Basically all the same, though. And you can see, boatloads of extra holes in these radios because they're missing so many components because this is a lower model. But anyhow, the customer's complaint on this is, let's see, intermittently just goes out, won't receive or transmit. The frequency counter reads like the Crystal 10.925 or something. Good radio other than that. So, I haven't even turned it on. I'm not even going to bother turning it on. It's a Galaxy. It's a cheap export radio. These things are known for having horrible solder joint problems. And this one would appear to be no exception. Now I guess somebody else has already been trying to fix it. I can see a bunch of solder work here, all over in the PLL synthesizer area here. This one header socket right here, I can see a lot of work. Yeah, there's some parts bodged on the bottom of the board there. There's some crap mounted over here. I just love this mic. Of course, people try and hide their, put it in quotation marks, their secret modifications. God forbid we'd let the information out. So far to the point that either they're trying to hide what value this is, or they were just trying to hide the fact of how cheap a quality capacitor this is. They took the wrapper off of it. Really? I mean, it's sad either way. They either removed it because it's such a cheap piece of junk, they didn't want anybody to see that it was a no-name part, or they removed it so nobody could tell what value it is. Really? I mean, my God, come on, people. If it was cheap, just use a better one. For God's sakes, a good Nichicon or Panasonic or, pick your brand. There's lots of them out there, they don't cost that much extra. And as far as the value, well, hell, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the value of an electrolytic capacitor, especially with the cheap price of, capacitor, testers nowadays. But in any case, so I looked it over, and like I said, I hadn't even turned it on, and I can see multiple bad solder joints on this thing. Let me grab a pointy stick here. So, some of the ones that really stick out, and I don't know how well or if they'll show up in the camera. But if you can see, there's a transistor right here at these three terminals. There's a noticeable dark ring around all three of them. If I reached up on the top side of that thing, wiggled it back and forth once or twice, I could probably just pull it straight up out of the board. But that one right there, that black line right there, that's actually, the solder joint's completely busted out. Other ones, of course the camera's in the way here. There's one right there. You can see it's really dark around the component lead. Come on, camera, why don't you want to focus on that? Yeah, I know I got you at an odd angle. But yeah, that one's obviously bad. There were a couple other ones in this area, so I'm just gonna, it's basically just a reflow. Really all this thing probably needs, and unlike doing what somebody did here, where they just glob on more solder, and I've said this before in other videos, and I think it was on more of these black box radios. Because like I say, this is a very common problem in these things. It's not so much just Galaxies, it's a lot of electronics nowadays, but especially cheap stuff like this. A lot of that has to do with the solder they're using nowadays. It's lead-free. It just doesn't have the tensile strength of the old lead tin solders. But ideally, and you see another problem is a lot of times when people reflow these things, well, this is lead-free solder. Well, when they reflow it with solder, they're reflowing it. Usually most techs are not using lead-free solder because it has such a high melting point. They're using 6040 or what the hell is it, 37, yeah, I have to grab a damn spool of it. Eutectic solder, what is that? 6337, eutectic solder, but they're using a lead tin solder is the whole point. And, well, now you're mixing solder compositions. Ideally, what you should do, and it's what I do, if you see a suspect solder joint, if you want to resolder something, just desolder it. So that's what I'll do. I'll come in here with a desoldering iron. Like the first thing I'm going to do is remove these two shields because I can't see the components underneath of it. So remove the two shields, desolder anything that's suspect, and resolder it with all fresh new solder. And I'll usually, now this one doesn't look too bad, but if it looks like it's oxidized at all, it's always a good idea to add a little bit of, liquid flux. Like I said, I just buy these empty nail polish bottles. You can get these things on eBay. They're cheap. Glue a quarter on the bottom because that prevents them from tipping over. Because trust me, I did that once or twice, but had the bottle sitting there. And you're going to do it. Even I still do it occasionally. I'll put the top back on and not screw it back on, and you bump the bottle and it falls over. Well, if you glue a quarter to the bottom of it, you can see you can get quite a bit more lean out of it. But like I say, apply a little bit of extra flux. But usually that's all it takes. A lot of times the intermittent problems with anything that says Galaxy, Ranger, Connex, generally I don't care whose name's on it, they're all RCI Ranger circuit boards. They're all the same. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the majority of those black box export radios, it doesn't matter whose name's on the front of it, they're all made by the same company. These boards are made by RCI. But like I say, the first thing you should do, and a lot of times an owner, as long as you've got a little bit of, soldering experience, you don't need to be the soldering god, but as long as you have a little bit of experience, a lot of times that's all it needs. It just needs to be resoldered. So, crack the covers off of it, inspect your solder joints, look for little what looks like halos around any of the leads, and give her a try. But so I'll get this one resoldered. Clean up a lot of this messy solder stuff. I'll just desolder what somebody else has already resoldered. That and this, I don't know what the hell kind of repair that's supposed to be. Apparently they didn't own any desoldering equipment. They just ripped the traces off of the board. There's no pad there anymore. There's no pad there anymore. And it doesn't even look like they scraped the solder mask off here. I don't know how in the hell that lead's even really making any contact. Yeah, that's definitely not a proper repair. That's just called extremely sloppy, I don't give a shit work. But, so, I'll get some solder work done to it. Then I'll fire it up and give it a try. Well, I do believe one word can describe this radio. Wow. And I don't mean wow as in good. I mean wow as in bad, as in wow, holy shit. As you can see, it's working. Had it on for quite a while now. Man, this thing is about ready to burst into flames. It's so hot because, yeah, it's that's part of the wow factor. If it can be clipped, hacked, butchered, or turned to full clockwise rotation, it has been done to this thing. If someone wanted to create the perfect pink noise generator or, frequency spectrum splattering, trash box, somebody did it. I'd have to say probably half of this radio's power is nowhere even close to the channel it's supposed to be on. This thing is just spread all over the place. Yeah, it's... So, we'll just look at the spectrum analyzer. So right now it's just set to 50 megahertz span. So the left side of the screen is 10 megahertz, the right side of the screen is 60 megahertz. So key the microphone, and you can see there's our carrier. Now you can see how all these little tiny bumps down there at the bottom start to pick up. Well, look what happens when I start to talk into the microphone. Holy shit. Yeah, it doesn't just have a 54 megahertz spike. It has got crap splattered all over the damn frequency spectrum. Yeah, that's just absolutely horrible. Now let's try and we'll just change it. Let's see. Frequency, start. We'll do center. 27.205 megahertz. Span 30 kilohertz. So it's now 30 kilohertz wide, or 3 channels, and the center of the screen will be channel 20. So I'll key the microphone, and you can see there's our carrier, and it doesn't look too bad as long as I don't talk. But look what happens when I start to talk, or better yet, whistle into the microphone. Yeah, that is power transmitting on channel 19, 20, the channel we're actually on, 21. I mean, if I put it out even farther, let's make it span 50 kilohertz. So, center of the screen will be the channel 1, and then there'll be 2 channels on either side. Yeah, that is one extremely low sloping line. Oh my god, the channel splatter is absolutely horrendous. So what does that actually mean on air? Well, let's just break out a walkie-talkie. We'll even just take the antenna off of it. And just to try and shield the input a little bit, I'll even put a cap on there. So the radio we're transmitting with is on channel 20, and that's on 21. Yeah, you can hear exactly how much of this crap is spreading through into the adjacent channel. And if we go up one more, you can even still hear me on channel 22. And 19, yeah, I'm on channel 20, and you can hear how much is coming through. And there's even a lot on 18. And there's still some I can hear on 17. So, yeah. This has definitely been to the peek and tune hackery shop. So, there you go. The radio was sent to me because it would not work. Receiver transmit, and the frequency counter was not, was displaying the wrong thing. That's been fixed, and that's all that's going to get done to it. That butcher job. I mean, these radios are kind of splatter boxes to start with, but this thing has been just hacked by some peek and tune shop. So all I got to do now is put the 2 RF shields back on the underside here, put the covers back on it, and it can go splatter all over the radio spectrum in another state, because, yeah, this, wow. And that's why we don't. So what does this mean, people? We'll try and sum this up really simply. You're killing your radio, for starters. This thing is, oh my god, I haven't talked on it that much, honestly. It is firecracker hot, man. Now the finals aren't, but the voltage, the regulator system over here, holy shit. And the audio amp, oh man, the side of this radio is just burning up. So you're stressing components. It's doing power levels it shouldn't. You're splattering all over the radio spectrum. Now, you're splattering all over the radio spectrum because it's overmodulated. So, actually, let's look at it on the oscilloscope. So we'll just switch over here. And actually, we can look at that oscilloscope right there. I've still got everything hooked up here. Yep, okay. So, and what I'll do is I'll turn the mic gain down slowly as I whistle into the mic. Better yet, let's use an audio generator over here. Put this in a little bit. Yeah, that looks like crap. Now that's the mic gain down the whole way. Just from the get-go, it looks like crap. It's not an even and it just gets worse and worse to the time it eventually boxcars. But that's why it's splattering all over you. All that extra power, it's not on channel. So, and that's the problem. When you do these peek and tune, hack, and twist every knob you can jobs, a lot of that extra power that you're getting, because your power meter does not discriminate. It's measuring all the RF power that's going through it. But a lot of that power, it's not where it's supposed to be. Now, if you want to talk on a television, hey, you've got the right radio, or you had the right person do whatever modifications were done to this thing, because it will be great for talking on in the 54 megahertz. Where actually, this thing is great for talking on most of the radio and television spectrum. My God, the RF spectrum. It just, you know, put this radio in the end of a shotgun and pull the trigger. That's what it's doing to the RF spectrum. Because, and then like I say, adjacent channel, and it's harsh sounding. It's really, I don't know if I can do this with a radio so close in the microphone, but just so you can hear what it actually sounds like, it starts to overmodulate. It destroys the audio quality. Now, I know a lot of people get fooled into, oh man, that sounds loud and proud nowadays. That's everybody wants the loud and proud radio. People, no you don't. You want a clean sounding radio, something that can be heard very legibly. You want the people on the other end to know what you're saying. You don't want people sitting there thinking, I can't understand what the hell that guy's saying. He's so goddamn distorted. That's the problem. Radios like this are great for distortion. All that crap that's disappearing out of your transmission that you can no longer hear is now showing up all over the RF spectrum. So, audio 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll move this in. Maybe you can hear that. I gotta stay far enough away that I don't feed back into it. But right about here, let me turn the mic, or turn the volume up a little bit on the radio. Doesn't sound too bad. It does sound distorted, but it's not horrible. And the farther I turn up the mic gain, I'm going to have to turn it down on this radio so it doesn't feed back. You start to get a lot of distortion, starting to feed back again. And with the mic gain up the whole way, I don't know if it comes through at all over the camera, but it just, there's a, it's hard to describe. It's a hash. It's very distorted sounding. I almost call it a crunchy sound. You know, it's like a crinkling noise almost to it. You know, just it's not pleasing to the ear. But so, you know, when somebody tells you they want to clip this and twist that and peak and tune your radio, tell them no. Tell them you want an alignment done. You would like your radio to last for more than a few weeks, because just, God, holy shit, this thing is hot. Where the hell is my infrared thermometer at? Just that little bit of talking there again. Up to 100 and 120 something there for a second. 115, 114. I mean, it's hovering between 115, 120 degrees right there. And that's just with a very minimal amount of talking. I mean, yeah, it just, it is what it is. So, there you go. It was sent in, no receiver, transmit, frequency counter, flipping out. That's been fixed. There you go.